Hello everyone, welcome to channel Qtomation. In today's session we will see the program to check if the number is prime number or not. So what exactly is prime number? So prime number is a natural number which is greater than 1 and which has only two factors, that is itself and 1. So that the numbers which are greater than 1 and those numbers which can be divided only by itself or the 1, right? They can be divided only by itself or 1. Those numbers are known as prime numbers. For example, 5. Now 5 can be divided by 5 only and 1 only. So 5 divided by 5 is 1 and 5 divided by 1 is 5. So there are only two factors for 5. So the numbers which are having only two factors are known as prime number. So 7 is also a prime number because there are only two factors, that is 7 and 1. But if you see 9, so 9 is having three factors, that is 1, 3 and 9, because 3 into 3 is also 9, 9 into 1 is also 9. So that means 9 is having more than two factors. So if the number is having more than two factors, then it is not a prime number. 20 is also 28 is also having factors like 1, 2, 4, 7, 14, and 28. Obviously these are more than two factors. So that means 28 is also not a prime number. Some of the examples are prime numbers are 19, 29, 37. So these are all prime numbers. So now we can see by program how we can check whether the number is prime number or not a prime number. So I am going to PyCharm. Let's create a new Python file. I am naming it as prime number.py. Now we know the logic, right? So there are two conditions. First condition is the natural number. It should be a natural number greater than 1 and it should have only two factors, right? So we have to count the factors. If that number is having more than two factor, then it is not a prime number. To be a prime number, that number needs to have only two factors. So now let's define one variable, that is num variable, for which we want to calculate, we want to check whether that is a prime number or not a prime number. So let's say I am taking number as 5. I am going to define one more variable, that is count. Now this count variable I am initiating with 0, so I am assigning the 0 value. So this count variable will check or will hold the number of factors. So let's see how we can calculate the number of factor. So for example, the first condition is if num is greater than 0. So we have to check whether number is greater than 0 or not. Sorry, not 0. Number should be greater than 1, right? If the number is greater than 1, that is a basic condition, that naturally it should be a natural number and it should be a greater than 1. So we will write the code here. So I am just going to write one for and range function in for loop. For I in range, I'm going to take range from 1 to num plus 1, because what we are going to do, so I'm going to put one more statement here. So let's say num, so I'm going to put one if condition, if number, and I'm going to use mod operator. If num modulus division operator, num mod I equals to 0, that means I'm going to increase the count is equal to count plus 1. So what I'm going to do here is, so basically I'm dividing. So if you see here, right, this is a modulus operator. So this I and range function, right, so I will hold the value of 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 5, because we have used num plus 1 here. So if we use num here, then it will range function will start with 1 and end with 4 only, because the num it goes up to the num minus 1 value. So that's why we have to put num plus 1, because we are going to divide the number by number starting from 1 up to that specific number, that is 5, right? And we will check whether the remainder is 0 or not. If the remainder is 0, that means that is a factor. So that specific value which is held in, that is the count of factor, right? So that will increase the count or that will just simply count the number of factors here. Correct? So now let's see, and after that, if the number of count of factor is exactly 2, that means that number is prime number, right? So outside this for loop I will simply check if count is equals to exactly 2. If count of the factor is 2, that means print number is prime number. Else we can simply print if the count of factor is not 2, that means that number is not a prime number. And similarly, if number, so at the first condition we have checked that if number is greater than 1, right? And if number is not greater than 1, for example, let's say if we check for 0 or let's say negative numbers, or let's say even for 1, then it's not a prime number. So for this if, we are also going to write one more condition, else print number is not prime number. So now let's execute this program. So I'm simply going to execute this program. When we run, right, so here we have entered the value of 5, right? So 5 is a prime number, so obviously it will print that number is prime number. So in the first loop, in the for loop, so whenever it will check number divided by I, so it will first check 5 divided by 1. 5 divided by 1 is divisible, right? So my reminder value is 0. That means count will become 1. Next iteration, I will become 2, right? So I will become 2. But 5 divided by 2 is not 0, right? Because remainder is not 0. In that case, count will not increase. Similarly, it will check for 3, it will check for 4, and it will check for 5. Only for 5, it will again become 0. So that means count will become 2, right? So there will be only 2 factors for this specific number, that is 5 number. So that means it will print that number is prime number. Now let's say I am going to put the value as, let's say 4. Right, so 4 is having how many factors? So 4 is having 4 factors, that is 3 factors, that is 1, 2 and 4 itself. So it is not a prime number, right? Because 4 can be defined as 2 into 2, 4. Similarly, 1 into 4 is also 4. So 4 is not a prime number. Now let's run the file. Right, so it is saying that it's not a prime number. Now if I put, let's say num is equal to 1. So 1 is having only one factor, that is 1. So 1 is also not a prime number. So when I run this file, it will simply say that number is not a prime number. Similarly for 0, 0 is also not a prime number. Right, so this is also not a prime number. So this is how we can write the program to check whether that number is prime number or not a prime number. So thank you for watching this video. In the coming session, we will see more videos about Python programming. Thank you.